beautiful people. I am Oliver Perrin for Semiagog, and this evening I will be discussing what I am calling the Hocus Pocus hoax and the Black Mass. Before we get started on that topic, please remember to check to see that you are subscribed. Please click the bell for notifications if you go in for that sort of thing. I'm having subscribers yanked from this channel constantly by YouTube, so I'd appreciate it if you would have a look. Also consider following this channel, Semiagog, and the sister channel, A Safer Space, over on BitChute. And then there's Minds, there's Gab, there's Twitter, there's a Discord server. I'm probably forgetting something else. There is also Subscribestar and GoFundMe for those who might wish to support the channel. As always, thanks to those who do. All of the credit and none of the blame. So let's start with our topic for tonight. I've spent a lot of time thinking about the ways in which the current war in the West is a religious war, though thankfully a mostly bloodless one at present. But when we talk about religion, when we talk about a religious war, what kind of religion is it? Well, that's something I'm still thinking about. Recently, I was giving consideration to all the talk of hoaxes. We've got Trump's remarks about the Russia hoax. We've got more than 100 documented hate hoaxes in a thread being put together over on Twitter by Andy No, and the number is growing every day. And we certainly have any number of other hoaxes going on. Everyone, in fact, has their favorite hoax. Well, this evening, we'll be taking a look at what could perhaps be called the mother of all our recent hoaxes, which I see as a kind of religious inversion. But to explain this primal hoax, to get a feel for the odd, perhaps, type of insight I'd like to introduce here, we'll have to take a look at the word hoax itself. And that, dear friends, will entail reference to the dictionary. Yes, I used to read the dictionary as a kid, especially when I was eating cereal once upon a time. My favorite was the Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary. It was the 5th edition, 1977, I think. It's the one I grew up with, short of hitting the big unabridged sources. And if you're going to do that, the only choice is the full unabridged, august and mighty OED. But if you're not going to do that, that Webster dictionary I mentioned is still the best quick-to-hand dictionary. The power of etymology as a meditative tool, or perhaps as a contemplative tool, is scarcely realized. Almost no one is aware of its value. Once upon a time, a young man with character, and even some young women, the luckier among them, would study Greek and Latin as well as their native language. In the context of Europe, this was a kind of limited study of etymology and of comparative and historical linguistics in and of itself. You would have your native vulgar tongue, you would have Latin, and then you could look back even deeper and further into history in the Greek and see how word forms changed and moved up through history, so to speak, into the present. And you could trace the changes of meaning. But I don't want to get too much into that. Let's have a look at the word hoax, shall we? Okay. So, hoax. Appears shortly before 1800, supposed to be a contracted form of hocus. To deceive or take in by introducing, to deceive or take in by inducing to believe an amusing or mischievous fabrication or fiction, to play upon the credulity of. An act of hoaxing, a humorous or mischievous deception. One who is a deception or a fraud. And hoaxy as well. Well, it comes from hocus. Let's see if we can find hocus. Pardon me, ladies and gentlemen, it's difficult to navigate. Hocus. Short for hocus pocus. A conjurer, a juggler. A cheat, impostor, or pretender. Drugged liquor. to play a trick upon, take in, or hoax, to stupefy with drugs for a criminal purpose. Curiouser and curiouser. What could all of this mean? Well, let's go over to Hocus Pocus. To act the conjurer, juggle, to play tricks, practice deception. Hocus Pocus. Let us do what only the Oxford English Dictionary allows us to do. Mighty dictionary that it is, massive cultural monument that it is, and look at citations from history with dates so we can see how the term was used in period. Hocus Pocus. 1655. I will speak of one man that went about in King James's time, who called himself the King's Majesty's most excellent Hocus Pocus, and so was called because that at the playing of every trick he used to say, Hocus Pocus, tontus talentus, vade celeriter jubeo, a dark composure to words, to blind the eyes of the beholders, to make his trick pass the more currently without discovery. And then in 1694, a writer observes, good God, sorry. This text is very, very small indeed. In 1694, a writer observes, in all probability, those common juggling words of Hocus Pocus are nothing else but a corruption of hoc est corpus, by way of ridiculous imitation of the priests of the Church of Rome and their trick of transubstantiation. We have this idea of Hocus Pocus being a variation of the Mass. A way of like turning the original Latin into dog Latin as a kind of conjuration, but specifically a kind of juggling, deception, trickery, and fraud. And it's important that we have this story about a jester or a fool in the court of King James I of England, who was very much Protestant and would have had every reason to mock Catholics, and therefore would likely have kept a jester around who would do that all the time by mouthing dog Latin imitation of the words of the Mass that the priest would be speaking. And then in time, that juggler who called himself Hocus Pocus, or was called Hocus Pocus because of what he recited, that would lead to the idea of a swindler or a cheat. So we go from hoax to Hocus Pocus to the Mass. And what is the Mass? Well, it's a Eucharistic service, one of the sacraments of the Church. The word Mass comes from the Middle English messe, Mass, from Old English messe, from Vulgar Latin messa, for Eucharistic service, literally dismissal, to send it forth. Probably rather certainly from the feminine past participle of mittere, to let go, to send. That's related to our word mission, like to send people off on a mission. Probably so called from the concluding words of the service, ite missa est, go, the prayer has been sent, or go, it is the dismissal. So Mass, sending forth in a ritual form. Am I the only one noticing that the very media that perpetrates the Hocus Pocus hoax is called the mass media? Now, that can't be the same kind of mass. Oh, it's not. That word mass is an English noun, late 14th century, for irregular shaped lump, body of unshaped coherent matter, from Old French mass, lump, heap, pile, crowd, large amount, and directly from Latin massa, kneaded dough, lump, that which adheres together like dough, probably from the Greek masa, barley cake, lump, mass, ball, which is related to massein, to knead, from the Proto-Indo-European root mag, to knead, fashion, or fit. So the mass media can't be the same kind of mass. That's more about mass manipulation, which takes the mass of the people and kneads them like dough, and then bakes them up like little hellish Christmas cookies. Anyway, so leaving all of that aside, the forking distinctions in Mass, we still have a group of things that come together. The priesthood, what happened when people took Mass? Well, they gathered together to experience community. They gathered together to experience the sacred, gathered together to reaffirm their faith. And in so doing, they recited these words about, hoc est corpus meum or something. I don't know the Latin, but there would be a true Latin form of the Mass, and they would recite these words so that you would know that you're eating the body of Christ. Consuming the body in a ritual sense in order to build community. Well, today, instead of community, the mass media talking heads splinter the nation into identity groups that compete with each other for power and resources in ways that deepen divisions and resentment. Rather than offering any transcendental or inspirational experience of the sacred, they instead elevate recognition of their victimhood as the aspirational goal of each and every person, and their faith in the goodness and sanctity, even the necessity of victimhood, is thereby renewed. It's a kind of black mass. Instead of creating community based on a sense of participation, a sense of shared redemption, the entire exercise is about identifying those whose ancestors are evil, about singling out the one group responsible for all the world's evils, personified in the cardboard cutout of a stand-in for an archetype that everyone likes to call the white male. Instead of a Christ who redeems all based on his actions, we're presented with the white male, who has degraded the world, whose universal villainy has set an entire race, the white race, such as it is, has set apart an entire race based on its putative guilt.
You're fucking a white male! So? You're a white man!
Mass is the Christian ritual through which we make manifest the object of our faith. In the sacrament of Mass, we consume the body of Christ. We thereby make the Christos a part of ourselves, and ourselves a part of the Christian community of believers, assuming one is a Christian.
Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
But today our faith is in the exalted nature of victimhood. If victimhood is a kind of sanctity, then what could be more perfect than ritually acknowledging that we as a race are unique and preeminent victimizers, and through that act, acknowledging in turn that we deserve to become victims as a kind of expiation of our guilt? What could be more perfect? What could be more symmetrical? Nihilistically symmetrical. We affirm that yes, we are victimizers and should therefore become victimized. We further affirm that yes, we should accept our punishment for this, which is to become victims ourselves. And rather than taking a bite from a communion wafer, we, made mad by the hoaxical Hocus Pocus of the Black Mass broadcast through the single blue unblinking eye of the whore of Babylon mass media, we devour ourselves. Hoax, Hocus Pocus, a poison perpetrated upon us, a trickery, a fraud. And we head towards oblivion. Get it? Got it? Good. Semigog,